Based on its simple ultra-low poly chibi characters and its low-resolution pre-rendered backdrops, younger gamers would have a hard time believing that Final Fantasy VII was a cutting-edge title in 1997. In addition to being a technical marvel in its day, alongside Resident Evil, Metal Gear Solid, Super Mario 64, and Ocarina of Time, it was an important ambassador for the potential of 3D graphics in gaming. Squaresoft had been working for some time to make their characters more emotive in order to sell their grand fantasy stories. With its pre-rendered cutscenes and fresh diesel punk and cyberpunk-informed sci-fi setting, it allowed JRPGs to explode in popularity in the West. Boasting one of the most thrilling openings in RPG history, players take control of Cloud Strife as he joins the terrorist group Avalanche in order to destroy a Mako reactor. Cloud's former employer, an evil corporation named Shinra, is using these reactors to harvest a new form of energy that is destroying the planet, and each of Avalanche's members has a personal reason to fight against Shinra, with the exception of Cloud. Annoyingly enough, Cloud starts off as an angsty, aloof douche, but slowly opens up, dealing with his own bag of issues over the course of the game. The rest of the cast is colorful and generally likable. During the fight against Shinra, a new threat emerges, shaking the plot up and introducing the players to one of the most iconic villains in history. It's a narrative that is compelling, though it seems a bit more silly now than it did upon release. Square has desperately tried to recapture the magic of Final Fantasy VII, and often it feels like they have only managed to parody their own classic game. Final Fantasy established several character archetypes that are regularly found in modern Final Fantasy titles, and they have never been as likable as they were in VII. What hasn't been cheapened by the failures of subsequent Final Fantasy titles is the combat mechanics. While the turn-based structure may feel slow by modern standards, the materia system remains phenomenally flexible and affects everything from what weapons you want to use to your character's stats. Materia are magic crystals that are a byproduct of the Mako reactors in the game and allow characters to use magic. Each materia falls into one of several categories: spell, command, support, and summon materia. Each weapon and piece of armor has a number of slots to place materia, and in some slots are linked, allowing support skills to complement offensive materia. For instance, a poison materia linked to an additional effect materia on a weapon allows a character to poison enemies or deal elemental damage. Final attack materia combined with life materia will instantly revive characters when they fall in combat, giving you a second chance during tough encounters. Characters don't really have classes. Statistically, some are better suited for certain roles than others, but the right equipment allows any character to function in a desired role. Personally, what has burned Final Fantasy VII into the deepest part of my memory for the past 17 years has been the soundtrack. From its delicate melodies to its whimsical themes, the soundtrack to this RPG classic is every bit as ambitious and epic as the rest of its design. Since characters relay their dialogue in text, the soundtrack serves as their voice. Hearing a character's theme several years after playing the game is like hearing the voice of an old friend. There is more humor, love, suspense, and wonder in this game's soundscape than many entire franchises. Final Fantasy VII is a classic, and certainly worth revisiting or even experiencing for the first time. Thanks to a recent re-release on Steam, as well as various versions on the PlayStation Network, that's pretty easy to do. Unfortunately, the port for Steam isn't exactly exemplary. The controller support requires a mod to function properly, there are a handful of bugs, and it requires registering with Square Enix. On the upside, there is cloud save support and achievements. In any case, I'd buy a lackluster port of a bona fide classic if it convinces Square Enix to take a break from releasing embarrassing new entries of their flagship franchise in order to give gamers, new and old, a properly remade version of what is arguably the most popular game in their company's history.